Hey there, Shail.
Hey, Alan.
And hi, everyone. And thank you so much for joining us this afternoon for our fourth annual mission-centered fundraising event. We celebrate Fair Housing Month in April every year because the Fair Housing Act at the federal level was signed on April 11th, 1968, making this the 55th anniversary of the Federal Fair Housing Act. The law was signed into effect after years of advocacy from civil rights pioneers across the country, including the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., whose open housing movement pushed into the Fair Housing Act. I'm Alan Lazo, the Executive Director at the Fair Housing Council of Oregon. I use he, him, his pronouns, and I'm here this afternoon with my colleague, Shail. Hey, Shail.
Thanks, Alan. Hey, I'm Shail Reuter. I'm the Education Outreach Director for the Fair Housing Council of Oregon. I use she, her, hers pronouns. We are so excited about this event. We love doing this event every year because it gives us the chance to really slow down and take a moment and really recognize the work that we have been doing throughout the state to achieve our mission, which is to end housing discrimination and ensure equal access to housing choice. It also gives us the chance to really slow down and reconnect and recommit to the work that we're doing. And part of how we do that is through this program. And you're going to see as we watch this program, some of our community partners who we've worked alongside with to help reduce barriers getting into housing, and also community partners that we have worked with that have helped us grow to become better at serving the community.
Thank you so much, Shail. And I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to take a moment to thank our team for the work that they've done over the last year to end housing discrimination and ensure equal access to housing throughout the state of Oregon. In the last year, we've seen some great successes across all of our teams, including our enforcement team, who's been continuing to protect the rights of members of protected classes who have experienced housing discrimination, and working with folks across the state to ensure they are able to assert their rights in housing. And the work we've done in public policy advocacy, I think we've seen some really important statewide legislation that we believe will create housing opportunity and greater access for many, many members of our communities. And in particular, we've seen some landmark legislation in how we do housing planning here in the state of Oregon, and connecting that to the work that we do around affirmatively furthering fair housing. So we're really looking forward to how that might impact housing choice for all in every community throughout the state. And of course, our education and outreach team have been working diligently across the state in every corner of Oregon to connect with folks, do outreach to residents, advocates, social service providers, housing providers, and other jurisdictions to make sure that everybody understands their rights and responsibilities under fair housing laws. One of those partners we worked with in Eastern Oregon is Stepping Stones Alliance, and the work that Kathy Lloyd and her team are doing out there.
Hi, my name is Kathy Lloyd, and I am the board chair for Stepping Stones Alliance, a nonprofit foundation in Northeast Oregon. We have the goal of providing a program that will help them go from being unhoused to having an overnight safe shelter to developing goals that will help take them towards permanent housing of their own. We are excited about our partnership with Fair Housing Council of Oregon. They've been a great support to us. They've helped us reach out to others and develop partnerships with those that will help our people be able to find the necessary stepping stones towards independence. They've helped us with translation of documents so that we'll be able to provide materials for individuals both in English and in Spanish, and additionally be able to reach out to other translation services for those who might speak another language beyond Spanish. We believe that everyone deserves to have a safe, secure place to sleep. We don't believe any 10-year-old lies in bed at night and dreams of the time when they can grow up and become homeless and have to rummage through garbage cans for things to eat or worry about being safe at night. We want to be able to provide a safe place for everyone and help provide those stepping stones on their path towards housing of their own, and that they might be independent. So we are very grateful to Fair Housing Council of Oregon for the assistance that they've provided us as we've worked on assisting those around us that are in need, that kind of forgotten part of society that needs not just a helping hand, but a hand up or stepping stones that will help take them from where they are of being unhoused to a place where they might find housing of their own. So thank you.
We love taking this moment to just take a step back and look at the work that our community partners are doing. Stepping Stone, thank you so much for your work, because you're really helping to reduce barriers to get into housing for folks who are currently living outdoors. We thank you so much for that work. We also want to thank sponsors for Fair Housing Month as well, because without their support, we wouldn't be able to do as much really deep, important work in this state. So at the $5,000 Fair Housing Partner level, we have the Portland Housing Bureau. At the $2,500 level, Fair Housing Advocate, we have City of Gresham, Regional Multiple Listing Service, RMLS, Multnomah County Department of Community Services, the Youth and Family Services Division, Kaiser Permanente, Scandals, and also Homes for Good.
And at the $1,000 Fair Housing Champion level, we have Salem Housing Authority, Multifamily Northwest, City of Hillsborough, Washington County Department of Housing Services, Benton County, Tomasi Brager Dubé, Clackamas County Social Services, Neighbor Impact, So Healthy in Southern Oregon, CASA of Oregon, and Princeton Property Management. And then at the 750 Friend of Fair Housing level, we have Background Investigations, Inc. and U.S. Bank. Thank you all so much for your continued support of our work.
And if you're interested in donating to help us continue this work, to help us continue to eliminate housing discrimination in Oregon, you can donate two different ways. Go to our website, www.fhco, and you look for a donate button, a green donate button in the top right-hand side of that first page you get to. Or another very easy way to donate to us is text community23 to 44321. These small donations, even small donations, have a really important impact on our work, because they help us do things like move litigation forward and also help us deepen our work in public policy as well.
Yeah, thanks, Shal. And yeah, go to our website at www.fhco.org. So, and Shal, as you talked about, in our theme this year around community includes all of us, one of the really important elements of that for me in the work that we do in the organization is the public policy advocacy we've done, and particularly at the statewide level. I think we've seen some really landmark statewide legislation this year that we believe can help create and open up greater housing opportunity for communities across the state of Oregon and for lots of the partners that we work with.
And another partner that we want to highlight within this event is Paula Velasquez. Paula works for the Harbor, which provides advocacy, prevention, and support to promote self-determination and hope for survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, and stalking. Really important work that's being done in our North Central coastal community.
Hi, my name is Paula Velasquez, and I am the Housing Navigator and a Direct Service Advocate at the Harbor. We are a nonprofit agency that serves survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, and stalking, located in Astoria, Oregon, but we serve the whole Clatsop County. To start off, I would like to elevate the work that the Fair Housing Council of Oregon has done across our state. Housing is one of the biggest barriers and obstacles that residents of Oregon must overcome. It is evident that Oregon has a housing crisis, which limits and interferes with the well-being of all individuals by putting so many at risk of becoming houseless, increasing their chances for serious health concerns, and decreasing their safety. Being part of the Hispanic and Latinx community, I can relate to the challenges of obtaining fair housing services due to discrimination, oppression, general bias, and assumptions. As an advocate at the Harbor, I also see many survivors encounter landlords who discriminate by not enforcing the rights that these survivors have nationally and within our state. These are two of the many reasons why fair housing is so important to me. It gives education to those who lack it and gives individuals more equitable power while seeking short or long-term homes. The Fair Housing Council of Oregon has enabled the Harbor to have additional allies in ending oppression to many intersecting minority groups. Having this partnership with FHCO, which funds my position at the Harbor, has created this more direct contact with staff and personnel, which only benefit the populations we serve, making referrals a system more accessible and less intimidating. In addition, we have been able to expand our housing navigation services to more than domestic violence, sexual assault, and stalking survivors. With the help of FHCO, we have been able to have individuals walk in who might not clearly identify as being a survivor, but this allows the excuse of housing navigation to be their first step into empowerment, seeking more information on safety planning, healthy relationships, power and control dynamics, and/or emotional support. Apart from emergency services, our work involves a lot of community outreach, where we do intervention and prevention strategies, which include a lot of education. Education is geared towards not only survivors, but everyone who is willing to listen. FHCO's research, advocacy, and materials, which are available in many different languages, aids us in our outreach work. And the Fair Housing Council of Oregon work is inclusive, accessible, and intersects with the harbors by focusing on the underrepresented communities that are left out on the margins many times. FHCO's work is part of our community's picture to end discrimination and promote civil rights to all in a holistic and intersectional way. Thank you.
Paula, the Harbor, thank you so much for the work that you do. We deeply, deeply appreciate what you are doing for our community. We also want to say thank you to the City of Gresham. We have a partnership with them every year. We work with the City of Gresham to offer a landlord forum to help educate housing providers in that community. So truly, Gresham can say community includes all of us. We also deeply appreciate what you do. Now, the City of Gresham has also announced that they will match every donation of $250 up to $2,500 today. So we really hope that you consider donating to us, possibly in that amount of $250, so that they will match that donation. How great would that be? So if you would like to donate, there's a couple different ways that you can do that. One is by going to our website, fhco.org, and look for the green donate button. The other way to donate, of course, is to text community 23 to 44321. And we want to thank everyone who has already donated to us. Now, this third speaker, they're very, very special to our organization. We've been working with Bridges Oregon for a few years now, and they've really helped us to grow and be better at serving the community. And we have also been able to help them with their mission as well. We introduce Bridges Oregon.
The Fair Housing Council of Oregon, or FHCO, is a wonderful organization. Historically, the deaf community, which is made up of deaf, deaf-blind, hard of hearing, and late deafened individuals, has had a difficult time accessing information provided by FHCO. The reason for this is that while hearing people have the advantage of getting information through incidental contact, called incidental knowledge, for example through hearing others' conversations, information shared on the radio and TV, and in other ways, deaf people do not have access to this means of acquiring information. Some deaf folks make a bit of headway in terms of housing, only to be confronted by barriers including either overt or less obvious forms of discrimination. These barriers can happen when a deaf person tries to interact with their landlord, or participate in their HOA, or even when trying to work with the housing authority. It can be a very difficult and frustrating experience. FHCO has partnered with Bridges Oregon Housing to establish access to its programs and aid in communication access. We'd like to invite you to watch a video testimonial of one success story from a deaf woman who made use of this new program. Hi, my name is Penny Van Worker Hansen. I've been homeless for about 5 years. I've had struggles with hearing-run organizations trying to help the homeless, but I received a brochure about Bridges, Oregon, so I decided to give it a try. I figured maybe a deaf-run organization could help, and sure enough, they helped me so much. I felt so comfortable working with Bridges staff compared to the struggles with communication I experienced with the hearing-run organizations. Working with deaf staff at Bridges, the communication and overall experience was very smooth, and they found me an apartment and helped me with the initial costs of getting into the apartment until I could pay the rent myself. And now I'm living the happiest life I've ever had at this new apartment. My life is so much better. The Fair Housing Council of Oregon website is a wonderful resource rich in information and informational videos for individuals seeking housing. Bridges has reviewed these resources and identified which ones are the most critical in terms of information the deaf community needs to know. We quickly realized, however, that these resources were not accessible. Bridges reached out to FHCO and suggested that they add ASL interpretation and captioning to their videos, and they agreed that this was a great idea. They've already made several videos accessible and available, and more will be forthcoming. Fair Housing Council of Oregon is also a great resource in terms of housing laws which govern barriers the deaf community might face when trying to secure fair housing. Bridges, acting as a liaison between FHCO and the deaf community, has learned what resources are out there to confront a number of situations that could arise. One such situation we encountered was with a client trying to participate in their homeowners association, or HOA, meetings. Unfortunately, the client wasn't given communication access to the meetings. When we talked with FHCO about this issue, they gave us the proper contact person at FHCO to whom we referred our client, and they were able to help our client work things out with the HOA successfully. We would like to thank the FHCO for their partnership with Bridges, Oregon. Thank you.
Bridges of Oregon, thank you so much for the work that you're doing in the community. It's so important. And also, I just want to say thank you also for pushing us to be better about serving the deaf and hard of hearing community. It's been so important. It's a really good example of a synergistic partnership that we have. If you want to help us continue to do the important work that we do, you could do that by donating to us. If you go to our website, fhco.org, look for the green donate button in the top right-hand side of the website, or you can also text community23 to 44321.
Thank you, Shail. And, one of the really fun aspects each year that we have during Fair Housing Month is to be able to highlight and announce the grand prize winner in our Fair Housing Month poster contest. This year, the poster that you see here was illustrated by Halima Assad, a 7th grader at the Muslim Educational Trust School in Tigard. Halima, thank you so much for this beautiful piece of artwork that you created. Halima told us that it was important for her to use her drawing and illustration skills to highlight the important work that we do at the Fair Housing Council of Oregon. So thank you so much. These posters are printed up and distributed throughout the state. And in fact, if you would like one, please reach out to us and we can ship one out to you. So I also at this time have the distinct pleasure of introducing our special appeal video for the afternoon. This deeply moving video today highlights Joyce Johnson, who we assisted when her family was experiencing harassment in their home.
Astoria is a quaint little old fishing town. Being the oldest city west of the Rockies, its history, beauty, views, whale watching, fishing. It's a great river town. My children were born here. I have roots here. I do feel that it's important that I stay in Astoria. My name is Joyce Johnson. I'm a 70-year-old mother of 3, grandmother of 9, and great-grandmother of 3. Most of my life, I have been an administrative assistant or a secretary. I volunteer at the Senior Center. I'm a member of the Daughters of the American Revolution. Before this building was an apartment building, it was a hospital. In the 70s, my children were born here. I moved into this building in 2003. The view was the same as when I was in the hospital with my newborn, and it just felt like home in a way. The manager at the time told me, if you like, you can stay here for the rest of your life. And I thought, oh, great, I'll just settle in here. My grandchildren used to come here every day. They loved me very much. I helped them with their homework and that kind of thing a lot. Since about 2018, things started to change. I'm afraid I won't be living here for the rest of my life after all. I'll start crying. It's still very, very fresh in my mind. There was hostility where there had not been hostility before. I had my Asian grandchildren here occasionally. I think it was just the knowledge that I had Asian in my family that caused some of the tenants to act out some hostility towards me and to try to drive me out of the building. That was what happened to me. That's when I realized, maybe I'm not going to be able to have my kids here. They're not safe. And then it got worse when COVID hit. There was an effort to keep people from wearing masks. The health department put the signs up that said, everyone has to wear a mask. A man attempted to assault me in the hallway. It was like they thought I put the signs up. They thought I was the reason they had to wear a mask. That's when it really got really, really bad. The stalking, the following, harassment. I was singled out for punishment due to my association with my granddaughter. I was singled out as a cause of COVID. During that time, it was going around, people were saying Kung flu, China virus, China hoax. China was connected to COVID in that way in a lot of people's minds. I do believe that's where some of this hatred towards my family came from. I went to court, I tried to get a restraining order. I couldn't even get a hearing. So I was in a really difficult situation. I didn't know what to do. Where I really found peace was at the senior center. I went straight to the director and I explained to him the situation, and he said, I want you to come here as often as you can. And I found things to do there. I found diversity there. I played cards with the ladies on Tuesdays, showed the movie there on Saturdays. And by spending time there, I eventually now am the secretary. During that time, I had been trying to file a complaint with HUD, and that's how I was directed to Fair Housing Council. And I filed with them. And they responded. Fair Housing Council actually came in and told them she's got to be moved for her own safety. She deserves safety and peace, just like anybody else. And so this was the only apartment that was available at that time in this building. And they allowed me to move in on December 1st. There's no other organization that will help you for discrimination. I don't even know if I would be alive without them. I feel they saved my life. I really do. Them and the senior center. But Fair Housing Council were the ones that took me from harm's way and placed me in safety. I owe them a debt of gratitude. I'll never really forget what has happened, but I don't have that many years left. I'm going to be 71 in May. And I'd like to spend those years free of this kind of fear. Living in fear is not for me or for the children. I don't want them to be afraid. With me, even if my complaint is not accepted by HUD, and if nothing comes of this at all, except that I got to move, I will still be happy about the people that I've met, the wonderful people at Fair Housing Council.
Joyce, thanks so much for sharing your story. Hearing your story really helps me to reconnect and recommit to why I do this work. Prior to my time working at the Fair Housing Council of Oregon, I worked for about 19 years with people living with HIV and AIDS, and I often heard about stories of housing discrimination happening with them. And at times it felt like maybe there was nowhere to turn. And then we learned about the Fair Housing Council of Oregon, and there was somewhere to turn, a place for us to get support and a place for us to help eliminate that housing discrimination that they were experiencing. So I really believe in the work that the Fair Housing Council of Oregon does, because I have seen firsthand how impactful that it can be. If you want to help support us in doing our work, you can go to our website, fhco.org, and look for the green donate button, or you can text community23 to 44321. We really want to thank our sponsors who help us continue this work, and thank you to everyone who has given so far. And if you have not given, please consider doing so. This work is so important and makes such a difference in so many people's lives.
Thank you so much, Shile. And indeed, there are so many different ways that you can join us in this fight for fair housing. As you heard this afternoon from our partners across the state, those in the fair housing movement, new and old, we are all called to recommit to the work this month during Fair Housing Month to fight for equal housing access for everyone and to ensure that community includes all of us. So thank you all for joining us this afternoon. And thank you so much, Shile, and thank you to our staff and everyone out there who supports our work. And we hope to see you all soon at live events throughout the state. Thank you so much.